I would like to...
Madam President, can you step forward? Thank you so much.
Mr. President, I would like to thank you again for accepting our invitation to the second meeting of the European political community. It is extremely, extremely important for us that you're here today. We're going to discuss important issues. We're going to reconfirm our support to Ukraine as it resists the Russian aggression. We have talked about the bilateral agenda. We have talked about the infrastructure projects that we're building together. We have talked about solidarity lanes. Moldova, like other countries, is trying to help Ukraine. And of course, we have talked about our European future. Ukraine keeps Moldova safe today, and we are very, very grateful for that. Moldova respects the sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of Ukraine and its internationally recognized borders. Moldova supports the peace formula that you proposed, Mr. President. And of course, we support the initiative to create the special international tribunal to deal with those who are committing crimes of aggression in Ukraine. Please do invest in our countries. Please do believe in our democracies and in our EU future. This is your contribution to the stability and peace on the continent. Mr. President, please.
Thank you very much. Morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Madam President, that you invited us. And I'm happy to be here. It's not simple to come to Moldova, but like I said to you, that is the message from all our Ukrainians that we really support Moldovan people. So salute Moldova, and we're really happy to go historically together, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you for Moldovan people, first of all, that you really you hosted all our people, all the refugees from the first days of full-scale war. Thank you. We never forget about it. Like Madam President said already, that we spoke about our bilateral relations, about, I think, some infrastructure, very principal priority projects, and we will sign in the closest future. And I think what is very important, our future in EU, and Ukraine is ready to be in NATO. We are waiting when NATO will be ready to host and to have Ukraine. And I think security guarantees are very important, not only for Ukraine, for our neighbors, for Moldova, because of the Russia and of their aggression in Ukraine and potential aggression for other part of Europe. So we are happy to be here. And also I will speak with some partners about ERGS, potential ERGS coalition and the coalition of patriots. That is our new initiative. We really need it, and we'll also speak about some strong support on the battlefield and peace formula, which what about Madam President already said? Thank you very much, first of all, Moldova, that you have us. It's so difficult to hear the questions and answering on the questions. I mean that about peace formula. So we are now at that period when we are organizing such summit. It depends on some issues. So of course we want to involve as much as possible countries. That's why now we didn't fix the date.
You got a lot of support from other countries. Do you have any idea how far the offensive can go, and do you have any idea how long the war will go?
Till our victory. When we'll win, the war will stop. Or Russia can stop this war earlier. They can go out to their independent territory from our territory. I think that is the answer. I think Stoltenberg supporting us and supported when I had bilateral meeting with him, but it's you know that we need all the unity through our alliance. So and we work on it. Thank you very much. We can go. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This way, you'll have to follow
This way. Okay. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll have opportunity to speak a little bit later.
Thank you very much.
One question.
Да. Mă gândeam că măcar dumneavoastră vă dă o umbrelă. Da, strică.
Я просто него на спектакъл съм забавен. Bănuiesc că n-ați ales noastră negru.
Nu, așa mi-a fost impus.
Apare eu acum cu ăsta alb în cap.
Maica Tereza cu paporița. Da, banii pe aici să fie.
Așa am auzit primul. Și întârzie cineva, am auzit. Aici. Da. Moldovă Mai. E ok acum?
I am very well. It's very important, but I have to regret today a new attack to Kiev with 2 children killed. It's another proof that Russia continues attacking civilian population in Ukraine. I hope that the presence of so many leaders here very close to Ukraine at some kilometers of the border will send a strong message about the unity of many states, not only European Union, but others, on defending international order, on defending the right of the people, defending sovereignty of the countries. It's important that this message reaches Russia. Russia is not here not because we don't want to invite Russia, but because Putin's Russia has excluded of this community by launching this attack, this war, unjustified against Ukraine. So we have to work on 3 words. First, connecting better the people of this political community. Second, stabilizing our continent. We have a lot of problems in the Balkans. And third, secure. Stability, connectivity, and security. These are the 3 words, key words of this meeting from the point of view of building a common foreign policy for the European Union.
Isn't it time to give them all an accession perspective now? Some of them real.
But accession perspective is there. It's already there. And yesterday it was a vibrant concert where everybody heard the symphony, the European Union anthem. I think the European will of these people and this government is clear, and the European path is clear also. Moldova is a candidate, something that some months ago looked impossible. Now it's a candidate. Now they have to work to make the reforms, and the way is over.
How's
Do you expect any progress between Kosovo and Serbia or between Armenia and Azerbaijan?
Kosovo and Serbia. Look, yes, I expect to have a meeting with President Vučić. Yesterday I met Prime Minister Kurti. So we have to insist that the violence is not the way. That violence has to be condemned. And the perpetrators of this violence has to be accountable. And everybody has to try to avoid any kind of escalation and uncoordinated moves. So we will continue working with President Vučić. Kosovo, I was with him yesterday. It's impossible.
Señor Borrell, ¿le preocupa que el adelanto electoral en España? Señor Borrell.
I already answered this question. Moldova path is independently of what's happening with the Transnistria. Cyprus become member of the European Union having a territorial problem. Moldova can do it. Come on.
¿Le preocupa que el adelanto electoral en España perjudique la presidencia española de la Unión Europea, señor Borrell?
Creo que la campaña electoral se puede desarrollar sin perjuicio de la presidencia. Macron tuvo elecciones presidenciales en la República Francesa durante la presidencia francesa, ¿no? Nada extraordinario ni nuevo.
Ukraine is under attack, a heavy attack just as we speak. Do you fear that, considering Mr. Zelensky's presence here, do you fear and do you think that Ukraine will intensify its attacks in the coming days?
Look, Ukraine has the full right to defend itself, the coming days and always. Here, doesn't matter. Zelensky being here doesn't prevent Ukraine from defending. Well, thank you.
Your main message to Georgian people regarding candidate status. Georgian Prime Minister is also here and will participate in the discussion today.
Georgia has a clear European perspective. Georgia has a clear European perspective. So the only thing they have to do is to continue working on the reform and to build political stability. But the European perspective of Georgia from the European side is clear. Now it's up to Georgia to continue working. Thank you.
Is the EU investigating whether the Russian statements that Ukraine was involved in those attacks are actually true? Are you looking into it at all?
Thank you.
President of the European Parliament, the President of the European Council, the President of the European Commission. The key issues will be how to be more connected in terms of securing better communication between people, better telecommunication, better infrastructure, energy security, energy infrastructure, and this will be the key topics, as well as the political integration of the regions, especially the Western Balkans, from where I'm coming, North Macedonia, to speed up the process of European integration. So I am expecting a successful meeting. We as a country have to say positive things, which we managed to do in the past period, which we will share with our partners. And at the end of the day, I am sure that there will be very positive conclusions. I will also have bilateral meetings with the Prime Minister of Moldova, Prime Minister of Denmark, and the President of the European Parliament. So thank you, and I wish you as well a good day.
Do you see that this is, first of all, exactly Kosovo. Are you concerned about that situation?
We have a very clear standpoint that all the disputes have to be resolved in a diplomatic way. Because the peace in Kosovo is also a peace for the Western Balkans. I think that the time of conflicts is far behind us. So the implementation of the already agreed agreements between Kosovo and Serbia, as well as the annex to the implementation plan, should be imperative for the politicians from the both countries. We call for de-escalation and for continuation of communication with the help of the European Union and the United States of America between the two countries. Thank you. Absolutely, this is our strategic goal, and this is what we are working for, aiming for. We have done many hard decisions as a country, and we are ready to take the next step and to continue the negotiations with the European Union, and by 2032 become full-fledged member of the European Union. You know, North Macedonia has proven that through diplomacy, through making tough decisions, success can be made from a country which practically got its independence 32 years ago. Today we are a member of NATO, we are negotiating with the European Union, we are chairing OSCE, and we are really a factor of stability on the Western Balkans. Thank you. North Macedonia 2030 is our goal. We have started the screening process. It will finish in several months. We have certain decisions, political ones, that we have to make in our country, and after that to proceed with opening of the chapters and clusters and with the necessary reforms in order to accomplish our goal. We opened the negotiations last year on the 19th of July. The screening process is ongoing, so part of the chapters are already finished with the screening. We will finish by November the rest of the screening phases. The reports will come, and then comes the opening of the chapters. Yes.
Are you a little bit afraid that this summit here is a little bit like a waiting room and not really has the accession?
Absolutely not. I do not see this summit as a replacement for anything. But on the contrary, I think that this summit was very much needed also in the past. This summit as an idea is coming, let's say, a century ago. And I think that last year when we had the summit in Prague, it proved that when we work together, the countries from the European Union and the countries which are candidates or are not part of the European Union, that together we are stronger. And then in the case of my country, after that meeting, we started working very closely with the energy community of the European Union, with the transport community. And through this joint cooperation, we managed to do all the necessary things in order to go through the very harsh winter which we have because of the invasion of Russia on Ukraine, and to ensure everything for our citizens. So these meetings actually brings us together and makes political decisions easier in order to help all our citizens. Thank you. Wish you all the best all day.
Which has been the guarantor of our freedom, independence, and non-sovereignty throughout these 2 decades. For that reason, I will continue
Guten Morgen.
better.
Ja, meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren, das heutige Zusammenkommen ist ein ganz wichtiges Zeichen. Auf der einen Seite, dass wir klar zusammenstehen in der Frage des Krieges gegen die Ukraine, dass wir Moldau den Rücken stärken. Moldau hat eine unglaubliche Last zu tragen, auch in der Frage der Unterbringung von vielen Vertriebenen, macht das bravourös, ist ständig auch unter der Bedrohung von Seiten der Russischen Föderation. Immerhin ist auch ein Teil des Landes nach wie vor von der russischen Armee besetzt. Das heißt, Moldau hat hier viele Herausforderungen zu stemmen und gerade in so einer Zeit ist es wichtig, die Unterstützung auch durch solche Veranstaltungen wie jetzt, auch gerade mit der Europäischen Politischen Gemeinschaft, hier klar zu zeigen. Und zum anderen ist es uns auch wichtig, als Österreich auch immer wieder darauf hinzuweisen, dass wir den Westbalkan nicht vergessen dürfen, dass wir die Westbalkanstaaten brauchen, dass wir die Initiative jetzt der EU-Kommissionspräsidentin von der Leyen sehr begrüßen, dass es für den Westbalkan ein gesondertes Programm gibt, gerade auch um die Wirtschaft zu stärken und gleichzeitig natürlich auch die Rechtsstaatlichkeit. Wir haben uns immer dafür ausgesprochen, dass wenn man mit der Ukraine, aber auch mit Moldau den Kandidatenstatus vereinbart, dann ist es gleichzeitig aber auch wichtig zu sagen, dass der Westbalkan in die gleiche Lage versetzt wird, dass es kein besonderes Fast-Track-System für die Ukraine gibt, sondern gemeinsam, dass man darauf achtet, dass der Westbalkan gerade jetzt auch in dieser Zeit nicht vergessen wird. Wir sehen gerade im Kosovo, wie wichtig es ist, dass die Europäische Union an der Seite der Westbalkanstaaten steht.
Herr Bundeskanzler, Sie haben heute viele bilaterale Treffen, unter anderem auch mit dem serbischen Präsidenten. Was werden Sie ihm zum Beispiel hinsichtlich des Kosovo sagen und was haben Sie auch geplant, in den anderen bilateralen Gesprächen anzusprechen?
Wir treffen auch den Präsidenten von Bulgarien. Es ist jetzt ein Treffen geplant mit dem Ministerpräsidenten von Portugal. Es geht um eine Vielfalt an Themen. Portugal ist hohe Kompetenz betreffend Afrika und auch da, wie man die Zusammenarbeit stärken kann, auch im Sinne unserer Afrika-Strategie und den wichtigen Reisen, Migration auf der einen Seite als Themen, aber auch grüner Wasserstoff. Und auf der anderen Seite bei den Westbalkanstaaten, Sie haben Serbien angesprochen, Serbien ist ein ganz wichtiges Land am Westbalkan, hat einen großen Einfluss, hat grundsätzlich auch eine große Rolle, wenn es darum geht, Konflikte auch zu deeskalieren. Es braucht aber immer zwei, es braucht auch den Kosovo. Es waren die Vorgehensweisen jetzt in der Behördenfrage von Seiten des Kosovo nicht dazu angetan, zu deeskalieren. Es ist jetzt wichtig, dass sofort die Gewalt aufhört. Die ist niemals akzeptabel auf der einen Seite, aber auch, dass Schritte gesetzt werden, die eben diese Eskalation erst gar nicht ermöglicht.
Einige Staaten werden heute auch über das Thema Energie sprechen wollen, auch das steht auf der Agenda. Ich frage deshalb, weil gestern der ehemalige OMV-Chef Heusen mit CO2 gesagt hat, dass Österreich ab kommenden Jahr kein Gas mehr aus Russland bekommen wird, weil die Transitverträge in der Ukraine mit Russland nicht verlängert werden. Wissen Sie davon und bereitet man sich auf diesen Ernstfall vor?
Also zum einen, wir bereiten uns ständig auf den Ernstfall vor, deswegen sind unsere Speicher jetzt schon zu 75% gefüllt. Und wir sind gerade in vielen Gesprächen auch, wo eben neue Gasquantitäten verfügbar sind, sollte russisches Gas vollständig ausfallen. Die OMV stellt sich darauf schon ein. Jetzt gilt es da auf der einen Seite die Nerven zu bewahren, genau hinzuschauen, was tatsächlich an Entwicklungen stattfindet und gleichzeitig die Unabhängigkeit weiter voranzutreiben. Da sind wir auf einem guten Weg.
Werden Sie mit Präsident Zelensky über diese Transitverträge heute sprechen?
Das ist nicht das primäre Thema. Heute geht es um den Krieg in der Ukraine. Aber es ist immer eine Frage der Energieversorgungssicherheit, die für Österreich an oberster Stelle steht. Daher ist es immer ein Thema, das mitgenommen wird. Danke.
Morning. I'm heading for the Swedish one.
Thank you so much. See you later. Thank you.
Good morning.
President Vučić for Reuters. A couple of questions over here.
Good morning, Mr. Vučić.
Just a bit later.
What are you going to do about the situation in Kosovo?
We'll do our best to de-escalate the situation.
And how?
Така да ви благодарам на прашањата, што имате уште прашања. Тука се сега пожешките теми.
Да. Шолцом и Макроном, da li će se nešto promeniti u retorici prema Prištini u svetlu dešavanja poslednjih dana na Kosovu i Metohiji?
Svakako nelaki sastanci i važno je da pokušamo da sačuvamo mir, stabilnost i razgovarao sam jutros sa našim ljudima sa severa Kosova. Molio ih da u svojoj odlučnosti da istraju u borbi za pravo i pravdu. To čine uvek, pre svega u odnosu prema foru na miran način, kao što su činili juče i prekjuče i
attacking other countries who didn't follow him, attacking Ukraine, attacking Greece and other countries who decided not to reject Kosovo's cause for more human rights, which is what the Council of Europe is all about.
You're going to meet with a German chancellor. What do you expect?
As well as international instruments which we have directly made applicable to our Constitution. We are committed. While we move ahead in this direction, Kosovo's functionality as a country is protected, as well as the constitutionality of our actions.
Hello everyone. Lovely day, isn't it?
It's too lovely.
It's so warm. Not another day for a wool-craft suit, so hopefully you guys can dress down a bit. So I just kick off about the event. Yeah, but just very happy to be here to represent Ireland at the European Political Community meeting. It's a relatively new formation, only the second meeting that we've had, and what it brings together is the countries of the European Union, also with countries that are associated with the European Union, like Switzerland and Norway, for example, and then other countries like the UK. Turkey sometimes attends, not present on this occasion because of their recent elections. As an opportunity to talk about issues that affect the continent as a whole. So a lot of security issues will arise here. Of course, the war in Ukraine is going to be top of mind, but also it's an opportunity to express solidarity with Moldova, a country that's also under pressure from Russia, and a country that Ireland has taken a particular interest in down the years, supporting them politically in their candidature for the EU, but also financially and to help build up their institutions. In addition to that, the situation in Kosovo will be a matter that people will be talking about, and also the situation between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Mainly the meetings I'll be attending relate to energy and how we can push ahead our agenda to decarbonise our electricity and energy systems, which is to the benefit of Europe, both economically but also in terms of political stability and also environmentally as well. And also a chance to have some side meetings and discussions with counterparts, like for example Prime Minister Sunak and others who I'd hope to have a chat with during the day.
The issue of critical infrastructure is topical at the moment, and given the vulnerability of undersea cables from an Irish point of view, I mean, there are some initiatives through PESCO on trying to beef up critical infrastructure protection. Is that something Ireland could and should be exploring?
Yeah, it's something we're interested in. We haven't at this stage decided to join any NATO Partnership for Peace programme on this or any PESCO programme on it, but we will certainly consider that. We'll give it deep consideration because we are an island nation. Our seas are 7 times greater than our land area, and going through those seas are a lot of really important infrastructure, communications cables that connect Ireland to the world and Europe to North America, and also, for example, our gas interconnector with the UK and our electricity interconnectors with both the UK and the new one with France. So I don't think we can protect these on our own. And therefore it makes sense for us to cooperate with our neighbours and allies, both in the European Union and in NATO, to make sure that those cables are secure no matter what happens. But we have to know the detail of any European-led cooperation on that or any NATO-led cooperation on that before we can make a decision on whether or not to participate.
What would that concretely look like, cooperation? Would it look like boats, repair
Yeah.
structures from other countries? What would it look like?
Well, I suppose that's the point. We don't actually really know yet. There's many aspects to this. One is making sure that when cables and pipelines are designed and when they're replaced, that they're more secure than maybe they were in the past, and design is part of it. Another part of it is monitoring. Making sure that we're able to keep an eye on vessels that pass through our economic zone, and then another aspect to it is what would you do if there was information about a potential interference, and how would we act. So we just can't sign up to anything until we know what it actually is. But the basic principle is that this is really important for Ireland because we're an island, because so much of its infrastructure goes through our island or around our island, and as a small country, 5 million people, no matter how much we spent on our defence forces or our navy, we wouldn't be able to do this on our own. So we do need to cooperate, and that means cooperating potentially with NATO allies through the Partnership for Peace, which we've been members of for over 20 years now, or through the European Union's PESCO arrangement, which is the European Union's structured cooperation on defence and security. So we're interested. It's a very real issue for us. It's not a theoretical one, but we have to know what we'll be signing up to before we can sign up to anything.
Have you received intelligence that Russia has been mapping or looking at or carrying out suspicious activity at or near undersea cables?
We don't have anything specific, but you'll understand I'm limited in what I can say on matters of national security.
I mean, would you think Ireland is at risk of the kind of hybrid destabilisation techniques that we hear about from Moldova?
I think things have changed. Traditionally, when we thought about security concerns, you would think about, one country invading another, and that's very real. That's happened in Europe. It's happening in Europe at the moment, where Russia has invaded Ukraine. I don't think that's the kind of threat that Ireland faces, but we live in a different world now, and threats are hybrid. Security threats are hybrid. We've already had a cyber attack on our health service, for example. We need to make sure that nobody's in a position to take down the IT systems around our critical infrastructure, like, for example, our electricity grid. And also there's the risk of international terrorism, which isn't new, but not something that we should make the mistake of thinking that Ireland is immune to. And then also threats, for example, such as industrial espionage and attacks on infrastructure in our seas. So none of these things are new, but I think it's fair to say that because of the instability in the world at the moment, the risk of us being victim of an attack or collateral damage in an attack is higher than it would have been 10 or 20 years ago, and we need to be realistic about that. I don't think we need to scare people or be over dramatic about it either, but to just kind of say that the risk is nothing and therefore we need to do nothing would be very irresponsible. We need to assess the risk and then see what we can do to make sure that we're safe.
Would Ireland support speedier accession of Moldova to the EU?
Yes, we've always supported Moldova as a candidate country for European Union membership. The same applies to the countries of the Western Balkans as well. We believe as a country that Europe has acted too slowly when it comes to enlargement in recent years. The enlargement into Central Eastern Europe happened under the Irish presidency a long time ago now. Hasn't been perfect, but it's broadly been a success. And I think that you can make countries wait too long. And if you make countries wait too long, well, then they may turn off the European path. So we're very much in favour of accession of Moldova, of the Western Balkan countries. But it is important that all the criteria are met, all the chapters are closed. We can't water down our standards as a European Union, but we have to say to countries that if they meet those standards, well, then they're in and they're welcome.
Do you think that Moldova will meet those acceptance?
Yeah, I can't put a timeline on it, because what it's all about is allowing countries to become candidate countries and then beginning the negotiations chapter by chapter to allow them to do so. And Ireland did that too. We're not founder members of the European Union. We joined in the 70s, but accession for us only took a couple of years. And I think that a lot of countries have been allowed to wait a very long time in the Western Balkans and also Moldova too, and we're very strong supporters of further enlargement.
And Moldova says they want to start accession talks by the end of the year. Is that something Ireland would support?
That's going to depend on the recommendations of the European Commission, but we're certainly open to that, and we hope that there'll be a positive recommendation from the Commission in that regard. We think Moldova's future is in the European Union. It's my first time to visit here. It's a really nice country from what I've seen so far, but a country I think that can benefit enormously from European membership. And bear in mind, this is a country that is relatively poor by European standards, a country with a lower population than Ireland, but has taken in more refugees in Ukraine than we have. And we need to bear in mind the level of solidarity that they've shown with their neighbours. And I'd like to see them become full members of the European Union as soon as that's possible. And it is a country that we work with closely, and a country that we've also made financial contributions to help them build up their institutions, and that will continue.
On domestic issues,
Sorry? Yeah, I didn't. I didn't hear his comments on that. Look, I probably wouldn't be helpful for me to get into that space, but I fully support Ukraine in its efforts to defend itself and to defend its own territory and territorial integrity.
Just on domestic issues, you said you're meeting on energy today. We saw gas prices reach a 2-year low last week. Why is it taking so long to feed through to consumers? Yeah, the reason why that happens is because there isn't a direct link between wholesale prices and the retail prices that homeowners and businesses pay. So, at one point the wholesale gas price was 6 times or 10 times higher than it had been peak to trough, yet prices never went up 6 times or tenfold. So what happens is that when prices are going up in the wholesale markets, the full increase isn't passed on, and when prices go down, the full reduction isn't passed on. There's a time lag, but prices will come down. Electricity and gas prices will come down. But if there was an exact link, they would have gone up a lot more than they have, if that makes any sense. And on the abortion laws, the woman who led the review said that the state is at risk of legal challenges unless there are amendments. Can you comment on that? Well, look, the state's always at risk of legal challenges, no matter what our laws are on abortion. That's the nature of how democracy works. So, I think the risk is there whether we act or whether we don't. And even if we did act, I think there's also a risk. So, I think that's a statement of fact. What I would say is this. Back in 2017, on my first day as Taoiseach, I said that we should have a referendum on abortion, that people had a right to make a decision on whether we should change our abortion laws. That happened. We had a referendum, a very clear majority for change, and we made that happen. We brought in the legislation under Minister Harris and set up the service, so now it's available. And I've always said that this shouldn't be a party political issue. Shouldn't be about people scoring points or politicians scoring points. It's about women and about children and what's best for them. And everyone should be allowed to have their own opinion on this, and that opinion should be respected. What the government's intention was to allow the Health Committee of the Oireachtas to consider the O'Shea report, the independent review of the legislation, before looking at any particular legislative changes. The vote in the Dáil now changes that. It is now possible for the Health Committee to both look at Ms O'Shea's report and also at the same time consider legislative changes because Deputy Smith's bill has now passed second stage. So that's what will now happen. It's a big job of work, both for Deputy Smith and for the committee and the committee members to do, but that is how democracy works, and that is what parliamentarians are for. Is that it? All right, thanks a lot. I'll probably see you on the way out, will I? Yeah. Okay.
Good morning. Well, very happy to be here in Moldova for the first time, but also the second time of the EPC. I think it's a very important platform for Europe as a continent during the time of conflict. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this will develop, not least for Iceland. We have, of course, preferred to stay outside of the EU, so we applaud to be here among other European nations at these very troubling times for our continent. So.
Why do we need a summit like this? There is the Council of Europe already. Why do we need the political community now?
The Council of Europe is obviously because we just had a summit of the Council of Europe in Iceland, where we were talking about the fundamental values of Europe, but here we are more talking about the politics of today. So I think this is a different forum, but also very important and more about the current affairs.
What do you think could be done that countries like Moldova don't have the same destiny as Ukraine?
Well, this summit is part of that, really, to show the solidarity within Europe and to really give a very clear message against the war and the invasion of Russia and Ukraine. This forum has actually developed because of that conflict, and I think it has shown really the strong solidarity of Europe against the invasion and with Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's take a check.
Okay, I'll see you later.
Vika snimati YouTube, guys. Evo, možemo
Yes. Yes, of course.
It's warm here. It's much warmer than back home. I'm very glad to be here in Moldova. It's also a sign that we show to Moldova that Moldova is not alone. This European political community meeting regarding energy, security and connectivity, the roundtables we have last time, we had very open discussions around those roundtables. So I'm also hoping that this will be the case this time. So really looking forward to the discussions.
What signal does it send to Russia that basically the whole of Europe is here?
It sends a signal that multilateralism actually works, and also that we are behind Moldova, we are behind Ukraine, and as soon as Putin realizes, or Russia realizes they made a mistake with the war in Ukraine, the war will be over, because we will be behind Ukraine, behind Moldova, and we will be united. This is important. We are already sending strong signals by having discussions for Moldova and Ukraine, the EU accession. We should decide by the end of this year whether to start the negotiations or not, and Ukraine has to fulfill all the criteria that there is, and so we can move on with this. I think it is important that all the countries that want to be in certain associations, unions, have the right to decide in which they can, and of course the alliances or unions have to decide whether the conditions have been met. So I hope that everything goes smoothly. Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question. President Zelensky asked for security guarantees an hour ago here. How can you picture that? What could that be?
Well, the discussions we have in NATO, of course. One thing that we have to show that we are behind Ukraine as long as it takes, which means that we are also helping Ukraine militarily. That is also a sort of security guarantee. But actually, in the long term, the only security guarantee that really works is to end the grey zones in Europe, which means that the only security guarantee really is NATO. And I can tell this by my own country's history. Thank you.
За минут прямой. Wie geht es dir? Von diesem Sommer war der Wahlrecht konkret?
Konkret net vieles, also das auch net de Bütt, dass konkret Konklusionen ha gehol gin. Wir kommen jo mechtens zu Bresel an eng mi Kleinkrise Summe, wo man iwwer komme an Zeile streiten as méi fir Summe zu diskutieren, weil net oft Plätze sinn, wo am Anfang einfach changeiert. Dafir Lo zum Beispiel Serben nach Kosowo Summen Dich zu hunn, wo dann noch bilaterale können organisiert gin, das viel wert an der Aktualität mcht, das ist wirklich wichtig, dass das noch an den kommen.
Bilaterale Nugeschwärze, was bei jedem Programm?
Ech gesinn den neue Präsident aus dem Montenegro, schön gestorben, Präsidentin von Moldawe gesinn, schon den schon ein Gritschfulen vu Leiit gesinn, dass méi am Anfang zu Summe kommen. Dat bilateral huet den all das Eischchte ha die spontane Changen, die noch huet, mir noch Erbesgruppen, wo ich beim britische Premierminister am polnische Premierminister iwwer Sicherheit doch an Europa en Echange hunn an schaffen, dass du net Schitwarien eng Gret ofradert, die an segem Büro geschriwenkrit huet mir en Echange hunn. Das du bit vu so Regionen.
Die hat op der Eischter Reunion vun der europäischer politischer Communautéit och schon Sicherheit rausgesicht. Wie weit huet ich genau Lade rausgesicht?
Weil der Moment wichtig ass awer den Sicherheitsfaktor an bei uns Lützeburg och Familie net direkte Schwaffen. Man seiert sinn awer die ganz Hybridattacken, die kënne kommen, op der Desinformationun ass op der Cyberattacke sinn ass awer eng Realitéit, an dafir ass ficht, dats man do eis alliieren. An da hummer och puer Punkten als Lützburger, die man kënnen de Kollegen noch vielleicht positiv erklären. Wissen man, dass man dat ambasien zum Beispiel hunn, wo eng Gritschländer auch schon dat bei als hunn, der das auch ein ekonomischer Faktor, wo ein Defensfaktor und ein Solidaritätsfaktor. Nö, geht net Toms mit Gedank wann en eng Mechkeet huet eng Männeren ze hëllefen an wo se autant fir d'un Pierre de coup, wann Jobs kann so Rakre fir Appswer doch Diana brauchen, dann tro net kom net als Riesen da hinnner. Ich kom als Sitze bei Premi vu mat den andere Kollegen Echange zu hunnern. Mir muss schon dem engem vun Äre Kollege se Artikel gelees, die vu Plauderstunde schwätzt. Ja, das so wichtig, dass man heinz do poteren, weil mir streite ganz auf de Summe mir potere wenig an heinst du as gut zu poteren. Schön selber als auf gut gemerkt, dass Schädungen mechtens kommen sie, weil die net genug gepotert huet zum echangiert huet. To wie diese Momente wo ze Summe diskutiert ganz wichtig.
Apropos Poteren, die war ja auch schon zu Reykjavik Sommet vom Conseil de l'Europe. Wie ist dann, wo gibt der Linzeien zwischen der eine und der anderen Reunion?
Zu Reykjavik, also das Conseil de l'Europe, du ginnt jo Regeln, du haben auch Konvention Europäenne des droits de l'homme, eng Gritsch vun Instanzen, die do ginn. Ha es wirklich einfach zu Summe kommen 2 Mal am Joer fir einfach en Echange zu hunn. Wie gesagt, d'Aktualitéit, also das perfekt. Am Kosovo Serbien, du hast am Moment ganz viel Spannung an, dass man heute den serbsche Präsident und kosovarisch Präsident, die hunn wie das den französische Präsident allein gesäit an so Sachen. Ich werde doch mit dem anderen diskutieren. Das ist wichtig, für das du gesinn, dass net egal ist, was du geschieht. Und du ganz oft durch den Dialog kann die Probleme lösen, und das ist das, was heute am meisten fehlt. Nee, das ist sich in ein snopisch Land, wo das Land selber sogar mit Transnistrien auch an der Grenze eine komische Situation hat. Ukraine ist nicht weit weg, oder das ist nicht weit weg von hier. Hier ist ein Land, wo wir nicht zusammen gefragieren, maybe next. Kein Sinn, wenn ihn ganz brutal schwätzt. Und dafür ist es wichtig zu sagen, dass auch nicht allein sind.
Apropos Moldawen stellt sich ein bisschen ein Schaufenster haut mit dem Summit, das Land hat an den letzten 2 Jahren immens viel fortgeschritten nach den internationalen Rankings. Ja, aber auch ganz klar Richtung EU will streben. Wie sieht das?
Op geregelt wisst, dass mat Kopenhagen Kriterien hunn hat gestern Präsident von Montenegro, dem man se, dass se schon alles gemerk huet, mir hunn eng Gritsch vu Länder, wo nach Kapitel net fertig sinn. mir Regeln wann se Prezi sollen se machbar gin, muss joch net alles am Paket hun. De Vor muss gemerk hin. Also Kriterien geheim net iwwer bocht, weder fir d'Ukraine nach viel anderen.
wird an einer innenpolitischer immer komplizierter war. Das ist für mich auch wichtig, für Sie zu unterstützen, dafür einfach für Demokratisierung und vorwärtsliche Tendenzen steht.
Also ich sehe nicht den de Schwartraft wen ha Ruder ass, wie mir eng Präsidentin die europäisch Ambitionen huet fir sei Land anschmengen, dass auch für kurzem ha Manifestationen waren vun der Unterstützung für Europa. Dat will net hechen das Regen einfach Bordheit Regen im Kapitel, wann de bis erfüllt sind, da können Prozeduren noch weiter goen. Mit man am von der Leyen doch Göster gesucht, dass wirklich ganz viele vorgemerk gesinn. Da muss als die Kloster Rendevous gin, fir dann eben Entscheidungen zu hole. Rege sind do, wir können de die Bordgreif, wenn man enker Präsident geschaffen hun, dann zählt dat für all die anderen.
Moldawien ist nicht lang und lo ganz viele Lieder noch Videomessage gesucht. Was Lützburg konkret macht Moldawien? Gibt es konkret ein Zusammenarbeit oder konkret Projekte, die Lützburg unternehmen?
Wir schon lange mit Moldawien ein Projekt, wo wir so unterstützen, eben noch bei der Fonction publique. Das klingt so komisch, auch zum Beispiel für das hier eine Fonction publique, als die auch formiert wird, und noch mit den Regeln, die es gibt. Wir haben seit langem schon häufig Burgermeister, wo wir Kontakt auch hatten mit ihnen, wo wir auch geguckt haben, wie wir können auf Niveau vom Medikal demos helfen. Wir sind ein Gott Projekte, die haut laufen, und mit der Bitte, das politisch ihnen zu helfen. Und ich meine, dass wir auf Lob von der EU kommen, für sie Europa zu helfen. Mit das der Schwach von Europa, also Schwach von den Moldawen, und nicht Schwach von uns.
Die wird gestern über Alexander de Croo auf die zu kommen, denn Herr de Croo jetzt bisschen Anti-Green Deal-Deklarationen gemäht, das müssen wir stoppen, geht durch, das wäre kompliziert, wir haben genug Probleme. Das ist nicht eher Position, oder?
Nee. Nee, und noch, wenn man zu den Flieger hören, an der Woche nach der Charles Michel am Flieger, verträgt man dann mit so einer Zeit, dass die Kasche eingehen, gucken wir, wie flitt, und da probieren wir uns zu graffieren. Das beweist, dass ich doch keine Ahnung habe, dass der Schütterich, wenn man sich einen Flieger hat, sind wir zu 3. Ich finde es mir billig, und das mir umweltfreundlich. War mir das Gefühl haben, dass die Umweltkrise egal ist, wie falsch zeichnen. Also ich probiere wirklich dort zu insistieren, dass man nicht als Position nur AB gehen und so, dass wenn es da Krise Energie oder irgendeine Krise, weil dann kommt die nächste. Und da gibt es immer eine Excuse für bei der Klimakrise Ziele an die Hand zu drücken. Es sind Druck von verschiedenen Ländern aus der Gegend, die gerne hätten, dass man mehr Zeit los und dann mehr nicht so sehr agieren, mit das eine Responsabilität für die nächste Generation. Also ich meine, wir können nicht einfach so einen Repus au Kalend kriegen, weil die Mengen oder die anderen nicht passt. Den Schwert aus, wir sehen, dass wir so ambitiöse Ziele haben, dass sie schwer realisabel sind und dafür einfach alles müssen machen, für, ob man so nur wie mehr Stunden kommen, wenn nicht, soll man es auf jeden Fall erreichen. Wir sollen nicht schon ein paar Jahre für drüber und wir gehen ab. Ich meine, das wäre das schlechteste, was man könnte gehen. Hier sollt net der Mengerei gëchte mé nach pu Stunden, die ma haut verbringe fir zeré op Brise zu goen, ich gesinn noch a Regionen dann no ich fir gesucht hun, dat wich mat engem ze diskutieren an diskutieren mé die méchen sinn aéier an.
Ich werde auch mit Herrn Macron darüber an Ihrem ganzen Druck von den Liberalen und europäischen
Also wir können
verschiedene Meinungen gerade zu dem Thema.
Also die wisst, dass Herr Macron nicht diametralement opposé sind, denn der von Herr Macron mir kann so, dass nachhaltig sicher an rapid an auch kein Problem am Drecksee mit Nuklear, da kann ich darüber diskutieren. Wir schulden ob kein von ihnen frohen eng positive Antwort bis lokrit, also solange das der Fall ist, werde ich als letzte bei Premier Donné so. Voilà. Okay. Ihr schönen Tage. Adi. Bis mich spät. Gut, der Sonne kriegt dabei.
Nee, leider nicht.
Nee, mich hat ich will keinen dabei. Bonjour.
Attenție! Atenție! Da. Da, este. Acum.
Bonjour. Enchanté. S'il vous plaît. Merci beaucoup.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. We are 45 countries represented here in Chisinau. It's a powerful symbol. We have a common political will to coordinate, to cooperate in the field of energy, security, infrastructure. And we'll have the occasion today to discuss all those topics and to try to build more political convergence in order to defend some very important common interests. Thank you. Please give her the chance, please. This is an important meeting that will take place today. I had the occasion to meet both leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan in Brussels a few weeks ago. We made some progress, and I hope it will be again the occasion to confirm a common political will to normalize the relationships between both countries. I'm absolutely convinced the future of Georgia with the European Union's family, but this take the right decisions in order to implement the reforms that are needed. And the Georgian people, I think they know they can count on my personal support, they can count on the support of the European Union, and I hope that the months to come will be a window of opportunity to make clear choices, not to please Brussels, but clear choices in order to make sure that the future of Georgia will be based on those fundamental European values: peace, prosperity, economic and social development.
Are you afraid that the elections will have an impact on the Spanish
conversations that NATO is preparing a path for Ukraine to join the defense alliance? How likely do you think this will happen anytime soon?
I'm very confident that it will have no effect on the Spanish presidency, and we know what's the agenda in the weeks and the months to come, and certainly for the next months, and that's why I'm absolutely certain that it will be a fruitful presidency in the interests of the European Union. And by the way, there is no doubt that the people in Spain, they want a stronger European Union.
Are you planning to arrive in Georgia?
So can you repeat?
Are you planning to visit in Georgia?
I would be pleased. I would be more than happy to have again the occasion to pay again a visit to Georgia and to the Georgian people. And the president of Georgia had the occasion to invite me, and we will see when it will be possible to pay this visit to Georgia again. Yeah.
Will you confirm that about European next step for our integration? You will discuss in December. I mean, candidate status for Georgia in December summit.
We have a very clear political agenda. I think that on the one hand, on the EU side, there is much more understanding that it is very important to take steps in the direction of the enlargement process. The European Commission will have the occasion after the summer to publish a written report on the enlargement, and I would like to repeat again that it's my intention, in my capacity, to put the topic on the agenda by the end of the year. Thank you. Merci.
And of course accountability of Russian regime for the crimes committed in the territory of Ukraine, those are important. At the moment to grant full-fledged membership to Ukraine. Everybody understands that it is extremely difficult to find a solution regarding the full-fledged membership right now, as the country is in the midst of the war. But we have to find those security guarantees and first of all the military. Morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
This is not the idea of air defense systems and the Baltic countries on rotational basis. But especially knowing that Belarus and Belarus is available for deployment even for nuclear power. This is very dangerous. We are in very dangerous situation. This is our responsibility to deal.
mesdames. Vous allez bien? Sure. Catch me for the bilateral later on. Perfect. Messieurs, dames.
Quel est le message de ce sommet, Monsieur le Président?
Está preocupado por hacer eso.
Es ist gut, dass wir jetzt als zweite Mal als europäische politische Gemeinschaft zusammenkommen, um miteinander zu sprechen über die Dinge, die uns bewegen. Und am meisten bewegt uns alle natürlich der russische Angriffskrieg auf die Ukraine, der die europäische Friedens- und Sicherheitsarchitektur infrage stellt und natürlich jeden Tag eine furchtbare Bedrohung für die Ukraine und die Menschen, die dort leben, darstellt. Insofern ist es wichtig, dass alle Staaten, die keine revisionistischen Pläne in dieser Art und Weise hegen, zusammenkommen, hier miteinander sprechen, weit über die Mitgliedschaft der Europäischen Union hinaus. Und das ist auch Bekenntnis zu einer europäischen Friedens- und Sicherheitsordnung, die die Unverletzlichkeit der Grenzen anerkennt. Wir haben viele Dinge miteinander zu besprechen, in einem guten Rahmen, der sicherstellt, dass hier alles zur Sprache kommen kann. Und das wird auch für die weitere Zusammenarbeit in Europa ganz wichtig sein. Neben den traditionellen Strukturen, die wir haben mit dem Europarat, mit der OSZE, mit unserer Zusammenarbeit in der Europäischen Union und den Partnern der Europäischen Union, ist die europäische politische Gemeinschaft ein Beitrag für eine gute gemeinsame Entwicklung unseres Europas.
Können Sie sicherstellen, dass nicht noch weitere Länder auf den Fokus Russlands geraten?
Es ist ganz wichtig, dass wir die Ukraine unterstützen. Das machen wir im großen Umfang und Europa ist dort einig in seiner Unterstützung der Ukraine bei der Verteidigung des eigenen Landes. Deutschland leistet dabei einen ganz herausragenden Beitrag. Unsere finanzielle und humanitäre und auch Hilfe und auch die Unterstützung, die wir mit Waffen liefern, sind sehr essentiell und nach den USA der größte Beitrag, der geleistet wird von einem einzelnen Land. Gerade das, was wir zur Verfügung gestellt haben zur Luftverteidigung, ist ganz wichtig jetzt in diesem Moment, wo es so viele Angriffe mit Raketen, mit Flugzeugen, mit Marschflugkörpern seitens der Russischen Föderation gibt. Und das ist das, was unser Beitrag ist, das zu verhindern, dass die Ukraine nicht Widerstand leisten kann.
Präsident Zelensky hat gesagt, er wird dafür werben, dass es Sicherheitsgarantien für die Ukraine gibt. Wie können die aussehen, wenn die Ukraine kein Mitglied in der NATO ist?
Eins ist ganz klar, wir leisten jetzt unseren Beitrag zur Unterstützung der Ukraine und wir haben immer gesagt, dass es auch für eine Friedensordnung nach dem Krieg Garantien geben muss und da wird Deutschland einen Beitrag leisten. Wie die ganz konkret aussehen, das wird etwas sein, das wir zu besprechen haben und darüber reden wir ja auch schon sehr lange miteinander. Ich glaube, es ist wichtig, dass wir hier alle zusammenkommen und ich freue mich, meine Kolleginnen und Kollegen hier zu treffen, ganz besonders natürlich auch Pedro Sanchez. Thank you. Wiedersehen.
How important is it to have so many leaders gathering here?
happy to see you in Moldova.
Yeah, unfortunately I won't stay after the end, but I want you to come. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Buongiorno Presidente, buongiorno. Buongiorno. Quale messaggio si può rilanciare con questo vertice? Tra l'altro è presente anche il Presidente Zeleski, c'è una guerra a pochi chilometri da qui.
Sì, guardi, io credo che questo vertice sia un vertice molto importante per ribadire alcune cose fondamentali. Che l'Europa è soprattutto una civiltà, che quella civiltà è fondata su valori come la libertà e l'uguaglianza tra gli uomini, che non c'è un'Europa di serie A e un'Europa di serie B, ma è un'Europa che, come diceva Giovanni Paolo II, ha bisogno di respirare con due polmoni, uno è quello occidentale e uno è quello orientale. E chiaramente tutto questo assume un significato nel momento in cui ci troviamo qui, nell'attuale contesto, no? Ci troviamo con il presidente Zelensky e quindi con l'Ucraina in un momento nel quale l'Ucraina difende quel valore di libertà. Lo facciamo qui in Moldova, che è un'altra nazione minacciata e che, diciamo, sarebbe a sua volta coinvolta in una sorta di domino se gli ucraini non... sarebbe già stata coinvolta se gli ucraini non si fossero difesi come stanno facendo, e lo facciamo anche in un momento nel quale, bene o male, quelle crisi hanno messo a nudo le criticità, anche europee, in tema di catene d'approvvigionamento, in tema di approvvigionamento energetico, in tema di interconnettività. Io credo che il grande messaggio oggi sia soprattutto un messaggio di apertura vera a quelle nazioni che europee sono e europee vogliono essere a 360 gradi. Ucraina, Moldova, Georgia, Balcani occidentali, tutte sfide di, non direi di, diciamo, di ingresso nell'Unione Europea, io direi di ricongiungimento, che l'Italia sostiene, e quindi penso che, insomma, sia molto di più di un valore simbolico quello della riunione di oggi.
Il sostegno a Kiev dell'Italia fino all'inclusione nella NATO o è ancora troppo presto?
Guardi, questa è una materia, chiaramente noi, lei sa che siamo sostenitori della politica delle porte aperte, come si è detto. Questo sarà oggetto di un altro vertice, che è quello di Vilnius, che insomma ovviamente è molto particolare e molto importante anch'esso, mese di luglio, quindi abbastanza vicino. Ci stiamo lavorando, ma voi sapete che insomma l'Italia è una delle nazioni che sono in assoluta prima fila nel sostegno all'Ucraina, chiaramente insieme ai nostri alleati, chiaramente valutando insieme che cosa si debba fare sia per aiutare gli ucraini a difendersi, sia per favorire un percorso che ci porti a terminare questo conflitto, che è un percorso che però non può passare sulla testa, chiedo scusa, del popolo ucraino.
Per favore, just one question in English. How important is this meeting for you here today?
Well, it is very important for, as I was saying, Europe is not an organization. Europe is a civilization, and it needs the East and the West. And that civilization was founded on values such freedom, equality. Celebrating this event here today means that we believe we have to strengthen our relations with all the European countries. And we do it here for there is an aggression against Ukraine, which mines the value of freedom. And we will defend it, and we will do that all together.
One of the topics. Just one from the UK.
Guardi, lo vedremo, è stato tutto molto veloce, voglio dire, in Spagna, però insomma ovviamente è molto interessante per noi capire che cosa accadrà. Non voglio più di tanto infilarmi, diciamo, nelle dinamiche di un'altra nazione. Lei sa che io sono presidente dei conservatori europei. Chiaramente guardo con molto interesse soprattutto a quello che faranno i conservatori europei in Spagna. Grazie ragazzi. Fermatevi.
Very nice to see you and talk to you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Minutes actually, so very quick.
A bit later, we have to go to the opening plenary.
Yeah.
Dear Presidents, dear Prime Ministers, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and an honor to be hosting so many of you here today in Moldova amidst the serene surroundings of Castel Mimi. Its peace and tranquility are a sharp contrast to the violent war that's being fought just over our border. The biggest war on our continent since World War II, a war of choice launched by Russia, a war that brings us all together in our strong desire to restore peace on our continent. Our decision to gather here today at the second summit of the European political community, just 20 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, is a clear expression of our solidarity with Ukraine and its people. Ukrainians are fighting for freedom, European values, and the future of our continent. Today, I'm particularly honored to welcome President Zelensky, who has led the people of Ukraine in this fight. Moldovans, like our fellow Europeans, have shown solidarity with our neighbors, welcoming them in our homes. But more needs to be done. This summit provides the platform to find solutions that we can all commit to in order to bring back peace on the continent, address the consequences of the war, and protect Europe. Dear colleagues, this second summit of the European political community is a clear expression of our unity, strength, and determination to act together as a single family. A family that sticks together, a family that works together to address common issues. A single European family where states from its inside and outside the European Union act together to dissuade aggression and consolidate peace on the continent. Over the next few hours, we plan to have a strategic conversation on how to strengthen the security of our continent and address the consequences of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We will also look for ways to address the energy and climate crisis. We all need to move forward towards a cleaner and more secure pan-European energy system. We all need to accelerate the energy transition, diversify our energy supply, and better protect our critical infrastructure and electricity grids. We all have a strong interest in improving connectivity among our countries. The importance of finding and committing to common solutions becomes very clear as soon as we think of what's at stake here if we don't do it. What's at stake for Europe, for the international rules-based order, for our citizens. We cannot accept that principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity do not matter anymore. We cannot accept that our citizens transform into refugees overnight as another country decides to invade a neighbor. We cannot tell our people, our businesses, that we have no certainty on energy supply. All of us have the right and the ability to shape our own destinies. For Moldova, that means being part of the free world, playing an active part in the European political community, joining the European Union, and working together to build a stronger Europe. Over the last year, we showed tremendous strength, resilience, and solidarity. But we can do so much more together. The EPC can grow into a key platform for pan-European action, for security, for peace, for Europe. Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to invite now President Zelensky to address the audience. Mr. President, please.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Madam President of Moldova, Mr. President of the European Council, dear colleagues, dear partners, today and every time we prepare and make decisions for the sake of our Europe, for the sake of our values, we must remember that every doubt we show here in Europe is a trench that Russia will definitely try to occupy. Whether these doubts are about vital security steps or doubts about our unity or maybe about our ability to meet the challenges of our time, every doubt brings more insecurity. Here in Moldova, luckily we don't hear air raid, sirens, or the sound of Russian artillery. But not so long ago, Russia's rulers were unfortunately convinced that between the evil they brought to Ukraine and the occupation of Moldova, there were only a few days, a week at most. And now they think the same way. But we act, we all, and this brings more security. Since February 24th last year, the limits of security in Europe have in fact been the limits of our determination, our ability to act together for the sake of the interests of our peoples and the whole Europe. As much as we can reject doubts, we can reject the evil of aggression. There is no one among us who does not know what solutions Europe needs and needs really now. The first is a full-fledged defense against Russian terror, both on the ground and, of course, in the sky. Russian missiles claimed the three more lives this night in our capital, in Kiev, 10 injured, 1 child killed, in addition to the hundreds killed by Russian terror earlier. At least 484 Ukrainian children killed by Russia. There are two decisive components now, a coalition of patriots that will put an end to Russian blackmail by ballistic missiles, and a coalition of modern fighter jets that will prove that terror against our cities has no chance. And I thank those who are helping, those who understand that every step in air defense enforcement is literally saving lives, and the speed of forming these two coalitions, the coalitions of Patriot and coalition of modern jets, is literally accelerating peace. The second is the full power of our unity. We do see who the aggressor is, and we see where the aggression is taking place. Russia is afraid of NATO, and it's true, and tries to swallow only those who are outside of the common security space. And Russia tries to live a frozen war on the territory of its neighbors if it fails to swallow the entire neighboring country. For example, why is the Russian contingent still in Transnistria? The Kremlin only needs it to unfreeze its attack on Moldova one day. How long will Europe tolerate this? This question is already more than 30 years old, and it is worth answering. There should be no place for any frozen or hot war on our continent. Recently, a Chinese journalist asked me why NATO, and the answer is very simple. When there are no security guarantees, there are only war guarantees. We haven't heard about possibility of the security alliance between China plus NATO plus Ukraine, but we need peace. We need just peace. That is why every European country that borders Russia and that does not want Russia to tear it apart should be a full member of the EU and NATO. And there are only two alternatives to this, either an open war or creeping Russian occupation. We see what is happening in Belarus. We see what is happening in Georgia. We see how these nations are being dragged, although in different ways, into the same state of lawlessness. But what do they see. If even Ukrainians who are proving our commitment to freedom and the values of a united Europe with blood have not yet heard a clear positive answer about joining the EU and NATO, the hopes of the others are becoming completely elusive. Think about this disappointment and the disappointment of both our soldiers who are fighting for freedom and those nations for whom our struggle in Ukraine is their hope. And this year is for decisions, and this is the short point I would like to emphasize. In summer in Vilnius at the NATO summit, the clear invitation to membership for Ukraine is needed, and the security guarantees on the way to NATO membership are needed. In fall, on our accession to the EU, clear positive decision is needed, and we are also preparing for peace summit, which will guide the world majority to implement the joint peace formula. And it is a global needed. The time has come, and the doubts must vanish. Positive decisions for Ukraine will be positive decisions for everyone. A security basis, obviously, for Moldova. It's very important in the long run for Georgia, and I have no doubt that over time for Belarus as well, and thus for European peace, because there will be no trench of doubt for aggression against anyone in Europe. And I thank all of you who understand that Europe must be so far-sighted to be truly peaceful. The Ukrainian approach is obvious and the most open. We openly proposed the peace formula, and its points are obvious. We speak openly about the importance of NATO and the direct link between the reduction of our doubts and the expansion of our space of real security. We openly say that only a strong air defense, namely the coalition of Patriots, namely a coalition of modern fighter jets, can defeat Russian terror. And it's real life in which we each day live and fight. This is the openness on which our Europe is based. One of our main joint principles. These are facts, obvious facts, openness and honesty. Now we need decisions. Thank you very much for invitation. Maya, thank you very much to you for hosting us, and thank you for your attention. Long live Europe. Salute Moldova, slava Ukraini.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your courage and the courage of the Ukrainian people who keep Moldova safe, literally. I would like to ask the President of the Council of Ministers of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, to take the floor, please.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank President Sandu. I want to thank Moldova for this very important event, for the role that Moldova's playing in these tough times, and my greetings to all the colleagues. I think that this event has a particular value and a particular flavor. For we celebrate it while near from here, Ukrainians, President Zelensky impresses the world, showing how difficult it can be to band a free people and a sovereign nation. And doing it, we know that they defend also our security and an international law without which no one tomorrow would be safe. And we celebrate this event here in Moldova, which is another nation which would risk an aggression if Ukrainians didn't defend them as they are doing, and if we didn't help them doing that. And we celebrate this event in a time in which different crises we've been facing, the pandemic crisis and now the aggression of Russia against Ukraine, show us our difficulties. But it means also an occasion. For crises, they are always an occasion. The occasion of discuss ourselves and go deep in the problems we have, trying to understand what didn't function to solve it. So why do we are here? We are here, first of all, I think, to remind ourselves that Europe is not a club. It is not simply rules, and it is not simply interests. Europe is, moreover, and before everything, a civilization, which was founded on the idea that men are free and equal. Values from which depend also ideas like solidarity, subsidiarity, rule of law. We are here to remind that we will not allow that those principles are discussed, that those principles are destroyed by who thinks that can bring us back to the most difficult years of the past century. And that is why we will be near Ukraine, helping Ukraine at 360 degrees for all the time that will be needed. And that's why we sustain also the work that Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, but also the Western Balkans are doing to the accession to the European Union, which means not enlarging the European Union. It means coming back all together, for that is what we are. And we are here to remind ourselves that there's no an Europe of A series and a Europe of B series. There's only Europe, and that Europe needs, as Giovanni Paolo II, the Pope, said, needs to breathe with two parts of its breathing, the West and the East. And if Europe is moreover a destiny, if in front of the crisis we are facing, we win or we lose together, it is together that we have to find the solution to those crises. Crisis as security of our continent, which means the energetic one, the sources, the capacity that we have to control our future. Crisis as connectivity, which is a way to put each one of us nearer to the other and become altogether stronger. And crises or problems are those that the geopolitics puts in front of us. And I think we should remember also the relations with our global partners. I think, for example, about Africa, for they need us also not to be victim of that narrative who wants to say that there's a West and all the rest. And it means also solving problems that we have to face, like, for example, illegal migration, that we have to solve also only if we help those nations. It means there's lots of work to do, but we have to do it. If we want a Europe, after being protagonist of the past, is a protagonist also of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And now I would like to ask the President of Romania, Klaus Iohannis, to take the floor, please.
Thank you, President Sandu, dear Maya, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that I take part in this second European Political Community Summit, especially as we are here in the Republic of Moldova. It speaks volumes for the European vocation of the Republic of Moldova and of the seriousness of its efforts for reforms necessary for the accession to the European Union. It also shows our focus on the entire Eastern neighborhood and the Black Sea region. We must be increasingly aware of the geostrategic challenges to countries such as Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the presence of President Zelensky, dear Volodymyr, today. Mr. President, we are united in our solidarity and strong support for Ukraine and its people who are still viciously attacked by Russia. The military aggression against Ukraine is the most disruptive evolution of the post-Cold War era. It is our duty as the community of European democratic states to answer this historic call and fully support the most vulnerable of us. These states chose to step on a democratic path to protect their independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, echoing the values that have always cemented our fight for freedom and democracy. I thus praise the efforts of the leadership in Chisinau in addressing two major challenges, the one of reform in order to integrate with the European Union, and the other of countering hybrid threats aimed at derailing their stability and resilience. Romania has offered crucial support in coping with these challenges, sharing our expertise in European affairs to accelerate the reforms and start the EU accession negotiations this year, and providing substantial financial and sectoral assistance. The Moldova Support Platform, launched by Romania together with France and Germany, the new EU sanctions regime with the first listings of persons who act against its stability, and the new European Union Civilian Partnership Mission are concrete examples of our support. So let me say this to all the citizens of Moldova: you are not alone. The European Union and the other partners are here for the Republic of Moldova. Strengthening the Republic of Moldova also means consolidating the strategic resilience of Europe. What we need to do is make our support more visible to the citizens of Moldova. They need to see concrete improvements in their day-to-day lives. This is crucial for the success story of the Republic of Moldova. Dear colleagues, dear President Zelensky, our summit needs to powerfully reaffirm our unwavering support for Ukraine and its people in defeating the Russian aggression and rebuilding a peace founded on the principles of the United Nations Charter. It should also be a reflection of our joint capacity to advance peace, stability, and democracy in Europe and beyond. Thank you. I wish you all success.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And now I would like to invite the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte. Mr. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Dear friends, our meeting today in Moldova speaks volumes. That country borders on Ukraine, and here the Russian threat is palpable. Maya, Russia tries to undermine the Moldovan people's sense of freedom and security with, as you know, cyber attacks and hybrid threats. And this highlights the widespread impact of the war. We are all deeply impressed by your resilience, of you and your people, and also by your personal leadership. You are, can I say, an example to us all, and we are very happy to be here. And thank you for organizing in these extraordinary times this meeting. Thank you so much. In the run-up to the summit, I was reminded of a quote by the Irish writer. Means responsibility, he said. And that's why most men read it. Today, we, more than 40 heads of state and government, have gathered here to take responsibility. United in our conviction that we must do whatever is necessary to restore peace, security, and justice in Europe. And I could elaborate about those efforts, if I had more time, about how crucial it is to sign up to the Register of Damage we established in Reykjavik at the Council of Europe Summit, about the need for even more countries to speak out against Russia's war of aggression, countries in Africa, for example. Instead, I want to confine myself to one key point. Ukraine must win. And we must do all we can to make that possible. Like building an international fighter coalition to enhance the capacity of Ukraine's Air Force. Together with Denmark, Belgium, United Kingdom, and help of others, the Netherlands will start training Ukrainian pilots on F-16s as soon as possible. I believe this is an essential step in ensuring Ukraine can defend itself, also in the longer term. But we also need to expand the existing Patriot coalition, in which Germany, the US, and the Netherlands are participating. We have seen what these systems do to protect, for example, the people living in Kyiv. But you are using them at high speed. So we need more. And we need more countries who own Patriot systems to get involved. And I will at least today try to convince as many partners as possible. I don't need you to tell you how much is at stake. Every day we see these terrible images. Yes, from the front lines of the war, but also from Kyiv and other cities in Ukraine. And we all know this war will not simply end by itself. And this is my final message. Because we all know, as in every war, there will be setbacks, especially in those times. And we don't hope setbacks will come. But if setbacks would come, particularly then, Ukraine must know that they can count on all of us. That in those times, the answer has to be more humanitarian support, not less. More financial support, not less. And more military support, no less. Volodymyr, this is our collective commitment to you. And thank you for being here. The watchword at this summit is responsibility. And it is the only answer, I believe, to the question of how we should deal with the challenges we face. Today, we will take new steps forward. Yes, we are taking responsibility because Ukraine must win this, and I am absolutely convinced Ukraine will win. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, and thank you to all the distinguished speakers. We are a bit delayed, so I would like to kindly ask you to have the family picture. This is to the right. And then we'll meet shortly for the working groups discussions where we'll talk about the problems that we agreed to talk and all the other problems that you might want to discuss here. So please let's try to have the family photo as quickly as possible. And then my colleagues are going to help you to find the rooms for the group discussions. Thank you very much.
Грею простоте.
Kilometers that week.
Yeah, it's crazy. Where did you stay?
It is the very new Borough market, so yeah, we have to. Luckily, the subway. Because last time it didn't.
Up.